has controlled the world for 200 plus years, and we get to be alive at a time to see it fall. I believe in the power of one person working as a team with other Christian patriots can have massive impact in reversing this ungodly culture. I believe that we have an omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent God that has put his hand on this moment in time to deny the timeline of the enemy and is about to heal our land. This is Rick, your host, and I believe that God has called me to empower Christian patriots with truth. Join us now for the Blessed Teach Show, and let's see what God is doing today.
Deception floods our airwaves, but Faith and Freedom TV fights back with truth. Our bold content, news, shows, Bible teachings, worship, and films shines with biblical conviction and patriotic courage, free from globalist lies. We empower Christian patriot creators to share faith and liberty. Access thousands of videos on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS. Join the battle at faithandfreedom.tv.
Welcome, it's Rick B2T here on a Friday night. I'm actually in the studio since I've been away for so long. I usually don't come in, but I'm not having backstage, but I am here live in the studio going over some brand new news. B-2 bombers greet Putin on the runway. Tulsi after Fauci next. That's exciting. And the erasing of Obama. We're going to be going over Digital Soldier and a review of that. We got some great news to dig into, guys, so that's going to be fun. Next hour or so. So let's dig in right now. I did want to let you guys know that we have new exclusive content that you're not going to be able to find on any other channel, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere, only on the Faith and Freedom TV network. Again, it's a media network ministry. We have tons of content in there, over 1,000 videos, and a lot, 22, 24 channels, more 24/7 channels coming, and we'll be having also exclusive content coming from all the content providers. I'll be doing one with Larry Ballard each week. Again, you'll only find out at Faith and Freedom TV, so make sure that you have downloaded the app, and you can go to the web app at faithandfreedom.tv, and that'll just boom right on your URL. Type that into the URL, and you can find that there, or watch it on any of their TV platforms: Roku, Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, as well as on your mobile apps, which include your iOS and your Android. All right, let's get into this, because this is exciting. The breaking news that we have here. This is Matt Tabby. I just love him because he's just been so bold. He's kind of a liberal guy, but after he saw all the censorship, industrial content, and he was really the one that was doing the Twitter files because he saw what was happening. He was going, "Oh my goodness." And here's this liberal saying, to schedule a meeting that gives Putin heightened status in his own country while flouting the international community's censure of him and failing to include Zelensky, you're a first-rank Putin enabler if you give this meeting any credibility at all. So that's they just frame everything that way. And he says it has nothing to do with enabling Putin. It has already enabled in Ukraine. He's already enabled in Ukraine, right? The issue is trying to negotiate the end of the war that can't happen without Russia assent. Your solution is to keep fighting? ? How's that worked so far, right? Of course not. And so you can see President Trump travel to Alaska to meet with President Vladimir Putin in a historic summit. And again, he's there in Alaska and has this morning. And one of the funniest thing is that B2 bombers actually met Putin So you can see those B-2 bombers flying, but let's watch the images. B-2 bomber. See if I can get this. This is Putin and him, and you can just see those big, huge bombers coming on the B-2T bombers with some escorts right over. But Putin clearly looking right over at him. And that was obviously planned to have right on the red carpet, right on the runway. Here comes the B-2 bombers, right? Breaking, Fox News catches rare shot of President Trump and President Putin inside the closed-door meeting just moments before the press was kicked out. So let's look at this. You'll see here's Putin and one of his advisors. It looks like there's only one there.
The pressures on Russia.
Maybe
what's
two.
The incentive for Ukraine? What concessions
But you can see over here, you can see Rubio and Witkoff.
Could be made?
And we're getting a look now, Will, at these. And Brett, back to you as we look at this shot and we get ready to.
So that was a summit. Newscast, rare shot of President Trump and President Putin. And you can see both Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio were seated alongside Trump. Hillary's making a big move because she was quoted as saying, I will nominate Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize myself as he's able to end this war. But she also takes the NATO stance of that Russia shouldn't have any territory of the past Ukraine, even though they overthrew the legitimate government during the Obama years, right? I'm not going to play her snotty message, but it's funny. Hillary Clinton on Trump. I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize if he is able to end the war and the thing that she qualified, though, which is the NATO stance of Ukraine can join NATO, and Putin said that ever since the beginning, because that puts the enemy right at their doorstep, right? And Ukraine had biolabs, and there's a reason why people are not, that Trump didn't trust the new NATO most corrupt place with developing literal bioweapons against the Russian people, right? And so to take back over that part of the country, to give all that up is not going to happen. That's what Hillary was saying. If Putin will actually be put in his place and withdraw from all the territory that he's won, with all those people primarily wanting Russia to be over them and not the corrupt Ukrainian government. So that's kind of an interesting whole twist to all this. The bottom line is that they will get key parts of Ukraine. Because those are people that speak Russian. They like the Russian government much better than the corrupt Ukrainian government. And everything that we've been snowed on for the last, 4 or 5 years with Ukraine. Ukraine is this independent country that's completely innocent, and this evil Russia. That whole narrative is just a big lie. NATO caused this war by taking over a legitimate government with a coup, and then putting in the corrupt government and trying to bring NATO to the shores of Russia. That's what caused the war. Very, very clear. Some people are making funny videos. Here's one that was a AI video on them being best friends in Alaska. Those of you on audio only, they're Trump pushing Putin on a sled. They're laughing. They got Zelensky all tied up, and the bears coming after them. So anyway, that's kind of a silly movie coming out. All right, here's guys at the store. Everything I talk about, you can find in one spot: blessedteach.com/store. So we had a whole thing on cancer and how B17 is so important. And you can get the apricot power seeds and a bunch of other for your pets and different ways to take the B17, all with a 20% discount on your first order by going to, again, blessedtoteach.com/store. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com/store. Get your apricot power. Everything else that we're talking about with Fit and Energy, which is my wife's company that does making sure that you understand your root cause of that. Televital. You've got, which is what Dr. Tenpenny wants to make sure your telomeres don't shrink, which causes aging. So that's age gracefully, right? You've got the Exodus for your fatigue, and as well as and reducing inflammation, etc. Everything's on here. The whole red light therapy wand, everything that I talk about, the biblical healing oil, my coffee I have, Mike Lindell. Here's the beef, the grass-fed, grass-finished beef that is actually can be storage as well as last 15, 20 years and be completely fresh when you put water in it. Natural vitamins, OHS. There's just so much here. Make sure you visit blessedtoteach.com/store. Blessed with the number 2, teach.com/store. All right. I was going to show you guys here, see if I can log in real quick. It logged me out. Was the events that are coming up. You go to, and you can see all this, by the way, just going to neighborhood.social. That's our social platform, neighborhood.social. You can see on Monday, we've got all the doctors coming on. That includes Dr. Artis. We got a Dr. Group, Dr. Ely, Dr. Schmidt, and they have a conference coming up. Don't miss that. That is going to be a great conference. Got Larry Ballard coming on Thursday. He and I are going to be doing a weekly exclusive show that'll be only on Faith and Freedom TV. Faith with the N, freedom.tv. We've got Dr. Sherry Tenpenny will be coming on the following Monday, updating us on all the medical cartel. 107 coming on next Thursday, so great August. And then September 8th, we've got Cassandra coming on, who's just a beautiful woman of the Lord, doing great work for him and living in Washington, D.C. to give us updates on what's really going on there. So don't miss the show as we dig into all that. I wanted to come over here first to, this is Fox News talking about Obama praises Democrats who fled Texas redistricting voting as inspiring. This just shows you they've redistricted like mad. They've gerrymandered worse than almost anybody, especially when you look at Illinois. Yet Texas is trying to get something that's more fair, that because it really favored the Democrats the way it's sketched now. We could probably go 9 to 10 seats if we gerrymandered, truly gerrymandered. Gerrymandered is like that term comes from salamander. So you basically, instead of having these blocks of this is a district you vote, this is a district you vote, this is you go all over the place trying to make sure that you get to like 45% the other party and 55% your party, and then basically say, hey, it's 90% on this one district we're going to give up, but we'll give that up, right? Gerrymander that, and then take all the Democratic votes away and have all the Republican votes, or vice versa. Both parties do this historically, right? And problem is that Republicans haven't been doing it, and the Democrats have. So this is just basically fighting back and doing something that makes sense, which would result in about 5 seats. Now, as you know, you have Gavin Newsom saying, "I'm gonna make it to where we'll change everything around and we'll get 9 more seats in California." They can't do that. They've already gerrymandered the heck out of it, right? Texas House Democrat Caucus Chair Gene Wu said the meeting was held via Zoom due to Republican threats. A lot of people are mad that we threatened the Democrats and didn't do anything. They haven't been removed. They haven't lost their seats. They haven't been punished in any way. So they just delayed everything and were successful in delaying everything. So a lot of people are mad at the rhinos in Texas that let them get away with this. Here's Tulsi. The hits keep coming. Tulsi Gabbard just confirmed she's working with Bhattacharya to bring down Anthony Fauci. And so this is interesting. She didn't really word it that strongly. But
the thing that we are working with Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, with, as well as Secretary Kennedy, is looking at the gain-of-function research that in the case of the Wuhan lab, as well as many of these other biolabs around the world, was actually U.S. funded and leads to this dangerous kind of research that in many examples has resulted in either a pandemic or some other major health crisis.
Well, let me ask you specifically, because we already know that EcoHealth Alliance was partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain-of-function research.
That's right.
We just have never been able to have somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya and look forward to being able to share that, hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific
link.
Correct. Between the gain-of-function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary because just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called bat lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right, under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then strong-armed and smeared people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, anybody who came out and said, I don't know if that's natural. This actually smacks of lab.
And the reason why this is so important is not just what happened in the past, it's because this gain-of-function research is happening in biolabs around the world.
Still.
I got attacked, and I think you saw this, we've probably talked about it on your show before, when I warned against US-funded biolabs in Ukraine when the Russia-Ukraine war kicked off for this very reason. Who knows what kinds of pathogens are in these labs, and if released, could create another COVID-like pandemic. And for that, I was called a Russian asset. You're, trumpeting Putin's talking points, all of this nonsense, simply for speaking the truth and stating facts that, by the way, are still on U.S. Embassy Ukraine's website today about how the U.S. has funded these biolabs in Ukraine. But my point is, in order to prevent another COVID-like pandemic or another major health incident that could affect us in the world, we have to end this gain-of-function research and provide the evidence that shows exactly why and how it's in our best interest, the American people's best interest, to bring about an end to it.
Amen. Amen. Tulsi continuing D-class after D-class after D-class. We got to love that. Democrats love citing this one climate change study. Turns out it's all bogus. So sure enough, they get a bunch of information. They say, my name is also Greta. There's only one Earth. We're going to fight for it. And that Earth is, as Christians, we should really want to preserve our Earth, right? But they just lie. The climate change scientists are only funded if they're going to come up with the results they want. And this is another example of that. A paper published by the journal Nature last year claimed that global gross domestic product would plummet by 62% by 2100 compared to what it would be without climate change. About 19% of the global economy will be lost in the next 25 years, the study claimed. Of course, it was all bad data. Like almost all this, they say it's science, but it's bad science. It's fake science. It's false science. And this is another one that just got caught. Climate change is not it's not just about polar bears. This is a Democrat just using this study and lying to people, as they usually do. It's about economic storm warnings to which we had better start paying attention, right? And so, but what happened? Well, the thing is that the flawed study was the second most cited climate paper in 2024 by news outlets and on social media. However, the news analysis in Nature this month found that data anomalies from one country, Uzbekistan, widely skewed the predicted impacts of climate change. They had bad data that basically had them going off a cliff in 2000 and then nearly doubling in some regions in 2010. And other eyebrow-raising anomalies, the data also so skewed that it upended the study's results dramatically. So bottom line, bad data, and this is the way AI is as well. Garbage in, garbage out. When they have a bunch of mainstream media articles and the 4 a.m. talking points everywhere, and it gets fed into Chat GPT and to Grok and to all these other engines, it's all going to spit out that same crap, the same talking points right back at you in different ways, right? That's why you have to be really careful of AI and ask it specific questions and give it your frame of your world view before you start asking it questions. As a Christian who loves his country, what do you think about right? It's vital that I think these are incredible tools, but you've got to be really careful when you do this. It looks like I'm going to pop out my chat, so if anybody wants to chat and I can pull it up. It's kind of a cool thing I have now. So now if anybody chats, I can actually pull it up on my screen here. So let me know what you think about what's going on with the whole climate change hoax. And here's the world got the message. Noam says 1.6 million illegals have self-deported. This is great news. The whole app that allowed them to do that, pay them up to $1,000. They're leaving on their own, which is the best thing for American citizens. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced on Thursday that more than 1.6 million aliens have been self-deported in the last 200 days, arguing that President Trump's approach to manage illegal immigration was working. Noem, and just think about that. We've completely closed the border down where nobody's coming in, and now 1.6 million leave. Now we, unfortunately, with the amount of people that that Biden let in, we still have a long ways to go. But to just have that cleaned out is nice, and then focus on the criminals is what they've done over the last several hundred days. Noam began with a post on X. And here it is. Less than 200 days, 1.6 million illegals. There it is right there. This means safer streets, taxpayer savings, pressure off schools and hospitals, services, and better job opportunities for Americans. Thank you, POTUS Trump. And here's she talking about it.
We have 1.6 illegal immigrants that have left this country voluntarily. And I think these numbers just show exactly the genius of Donald J. Trump. The brilliant mind that he has, that when he was elected in November, he knew he had to make America safe again. And he said, Kristi, if you're going to be my Homeland Security Secretary, we're going to follow the law. You're going to do commercials. You're going to tell the world that no longer will we tolerate people being in our country illegally and that they need to go home. And he messaged it strong. There were consequences if you broke the law and you were a criminal in this country and you needed to leave. And overwhelmingly, the world got the message. They're leaving on their own, which is the best thing for American citizens. Not only did 1.6 million people leave the United States that shouldn't be here, but also 2.5 million Americans became employed in the last 6-7 months. That's incredible growth for U.S. citizens that will benefit their families and the people who love this country, who were born here, who want to be employed, and now have new opportunities for success as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just crazy, all the job numbers that they were talking about with Mr. Biden. We're going to foreign nationals. That's the crazy part when you really look at that. It's like here, Scott Bessent makes unexpected visit to the IRS with Biden admin whistleblowers. Now, isn't this interesting? So the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, we're moving to an External Revenue Service. It's pretty much become the collection arm for the international bankers of the Fed, and I think the world's about ready to change in a beautiful way for us. Treasury Secretary and Acting Internal Revenue Service Commissioner Scott Bessent made an unexpected impromptu visit in the agency's headquarters Thursday alongside IRS whistleblowers Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler. The visit comes just 6 days after President Donald Trump removed former IRS Commissioner Billy Long amid a shakeup at the government agency, and just 2 months after he was confirmed to the position. Bessent reportedly spent 45 minutes in the headquarters to reassure workers that he would be hands-on as the commissioner and would be taking over as the interim commissioner until the next leader is confirmed. Sources familiar with the visit confirmed that his unexpected trip to the headquarters to Just the News. The visit today was to establish new command and control at the IRS now that Billy Long has left, the sources said, to a signal that the Treasury Secretary intends to have Gary and Joe play a major role in running the department until the new chief has been chosen. So that's interesting. But now that he brought these whistleblowers is really interesting. Are known for making protected whistleblower disclosures to Congress about political interference, potential conflicts of interest, and preferential treatment in the tax investigations related to former son Hunter Biden. And we know they were all over anybody who actually did that was a part of the Tea Party, as an example. It was just so sad what they were doing. And so it is good to see that we have solved that issue at least. So I see Missy and Team Mitchell on. Thank you guys for being here. Emmett, thank you so for guys for being here. Exciting Friday night here as everything is continuing to be declassed right here. Donald Trump Truth saying it's just I've just been It's just been found that the Democrats are buying protesters in order to fight my attack on crime. These are criminals who support crime. They are unelectable. So again, this is true that we are definitely having crime in the D.C. Being reduced dramatically by the National Guard being there. And this is the step to arrest, I believe, and showing that he did this in L.A. Now he's doing the National Guard in D.C. He will do it in Illinois. He'll do it in any of these major cities like Portland that have Antifa and all that. It is going to be a different world when these arrests start. I believe they'll be deployed nationwide across the blue cities. Jasmine Crockett is the future of the Democratic Party, says Trump. Basically, he's playing this up because she is the most, she's probably just one of the most anti-Trump and crass persons out there, and does not represent the majority of the Democratic Party. Is basically she's on the fringe again, almost like the Squad, and so that's why she's basically he's pointing her out and kind of lifting her up. You know, when Trump's really starting to point us for somebody, watch out, something's coming down the pipe, right? Here's Trump showing the power. He truthed this out of his. Him actually saying, "Hey, I want this person to win this position." So if he actually approves somebody, it's a huge deal, and if he doesn't, like Massey, you're in trouble. So this is Kentucky for Congressional District Survey. This is from August 10th to the 12th, pretty earlier. You can see Thomas Massey, who basically started pushing against Trump based on principles of just we're spending too much money. But going against Trump's big, beautiful bill. Massey had issues before, but he's gotten much worse. In June, his image was 54% favorable to 40% favorable. But now it's 43% to 54%, minus 11. A 25-point negative swing. His job approval was 52% down to 41%. A 27-point negative swing. Why? Because he went against Trump. Thomas Massey re-elect score decreased from 41% in June to 30%. This is what happens when you go against Trump, right? Because, again, this big, beautiful bill had a ton of stuff in there that was absolutely vital to the survival of the country. And President Trump's favorable 85% job approval and 87% remain extremely high and consistent. This is in Kentucky, right? In June, the plurality, 49% to 42%, disagreed that Thomas Massey supported Trump and his policies. The negative perception was worsened for Massey, and now over 2/3 disagree. A 36-point net negative shift. 3 in 5 primary voters would be more likely to vote for the candidate who is endorsed by and supported by President Trump versus Massey, right? So you can see 84% have seen, read, or heard something about Thomas Massey in the past month. What do they remember most? Top verbatim response: votes against Trump, 39%. Votes against the party, 8%. Supports Democrats, 7%. Massey's in trouble. That's all there is to it. And so Trump is tweeting this out to show, hey, dude, if you help me out, we don't have enough margin in all the Democrats are going to vote against us, right? They're basically bribed by the elites, I believe. And so they have to expose anybody that is aligning with the elites in any way. Among those who recall seeing the ad, Thomas Massey image, 41% to 57%, and job approval, 38 to 59%, are significantly underwater with the majority of voters. The results, in addition to turning Thomas Massey's favorable and job approval upside down, increasing his liberal rating while decreasing his conservative rating and decreasing his re-elect score, proved the effectiveness of MAGA Kentucky's ad campaign and Thomas Massey's vulnerability due to standing with the Democrats against President Trump and his policies. So again, we have to stick together or we're not going to get any legislation done whatsoever. And Massey's trying to make a name for himself by going against what Trump's trying to do is actually backfiring, which is a beautiful thing. Guys, this is just like, if you look at gold and silver, as you know, over the last 5 years, it's gone way up. But this is so small compared to what could happen when the Babylonian system fails, when we go to a gold standard, when we move out the Fed and move out the IRS. What's going to happen there? That is going to be interesting, where many people are thinking that could be the 30, 60, 100-fold type thing happening out. It's at 38. I was talking to you guys about this on where's that 22, 20, even sometimes in the 18s, in the 26s. Doesn't really matter. Those double digits compared to what it could be when it gets to potentially the triple digits or more, you're going to be wishing that you had thought about talking to Kirk Elliott. So I just ask you to be smart, get a free consultation, understand what you can do with precious metals. And Larry Ballard's talking about precious metals, talking about currency fluctuations, etc. But the one thing about metals is that it's a physical thing, and with the runaway inflation and potential hyperinflation, remember, Trump may have to kill the dollar by inflating it out to get rid of our debt, get rid of your debt as well. But that means that cash in the bank is going to be worth almost nothing, while gold and silver could skyrocket. So this is why, and silver versus gold, he'll talk to you about the ratio of that, what you could do personally based on your 401ks, what you have with IRAs, what you have with other assets. Well, what are some potential strategies for your specific position? So anyway, get with Kirk. Tell him Rick B2T sent you. They'll prioritize you. So call 720-605-3900. Set that up. That's 720-605-3900. If you haven't done that yet, this is, and again, you can do international, even if you have small amounts. Smart to get a consultation, get smarter on this with Kirk Elliott advisor. All right, here's J.K. Rowling basically always pushing back on the whole transgender movement, right? And you can see how the Australian phrases this, is that these are these woke mainstream media outlets. Transgender athlete Hannah Mousey says she fears her bid to become an Olympic handball representative will be dashed by year's end as anti-trans sentiment is weaponized across the sports world. And so J.K. Rowling actually rephrases that. Man fears he won't be allowed to cheat his way into the Olympics by playing against women. Man says anti-cheat sentiment is being weaponized against men like him who cheat. Read more about it here, why the cheating man is sad and why the woman he might injure just don't matter. I think that's a good rephrasing. What do you think? You guys tell me what you think. I love when you guys comment. I see a bunch of comments here. Let me grab one here. Here's T. Mitchell. By saying Jasmine is a fraud. She says she is from ghetto. She is a liar. Yep. Yeah, these people that say they're from ghetto and they're sitting there becoming multimillionaires, just like the bartender. You know, it's like I'm a bartender and now I'm a multimillionaire, right? That's exactly what happens when you go into Congress nowadays. That's got to change. That has got to change. We need patriots that love their country there. Here's a lobbyist tried to pit him against Trump. The media ran with it. But RFK just called a halt, ending speculation and doubting on the Trump agenda. So he is being loyal to Trump. It's beautiful to see. RFK Jr. says flat out, I am not running for president in 2020. Instead, he's all in on Make America Healthy Again and his and Trump's plan to crush big pharma corruption and reverse the chronic disease epidemic. And this is not easy when he's got vipers all around him. And he's done this by not talking a ton about vaccines. That's the only way he was able to get through the rhinos and get confirmed. And started with food and chemicals in the food and dyes and stuff like that. And then now he's slowly moving to the science part of and the funding part of mRNA and the vaccines. Still a long ways to go. They have so much money and they're so powerful. He's taking chips away from slowly but surely. I know that people like that are going to be coming on Monday, which includes Dr. Ardis and Dr. Ely, they're very frustrated with him, and they're just basically going, hey, here's the truth on everything. Understand it for yourself. That's why I'm real excited about the seminar coming up in October, where it's the Aegis Healing for the Ages seminar. So make sure you can go to healingfortheages.com. That's healingfortheages.com, AGES, and you can use the B2T code to get a discount on that, whether you're coming live or you're going to be attending in person. But boy, talk about that's where you're really going to get true information. The government is just fighting massive corruption from the big pharma or medical cartel, I call it. Here's Kennedy saying, the president has made himself the answer to my 20-year prayer. And that's exactly what my team and I will do until the day he leaves office. This is political loyalty you don't see in D.C. anymore. Isn't that cool? I just think that was awesome. And here's a person that Joe Biden basically said, the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump. It's like, well, yeah, right. So here's the border during Trump. You know, they sent those convoys in. You can see it peaked here in 2019 in May. But just look what happened when Joe got in. Just exploded. The border just exploded. And Trump had a historic low as he pointed to this. This is one of the charts. Remember when he got shot, nearly killed with assassination attempt. But you can just see the massive, massive number of illegal aliens that came in under Biden. And then what's amazing is look at the last 3 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, actually. It's just crashed down to even way below what it was the first time because Trump learned, hey, this is how you close the border. You basically put Tom Homans and the Kristi Noems in key positions, and you enforce the law, and you support ICE, and you hire more ICE. And look what's happened. We're hardly anybody's coming in now. Historic lows at the border. It's really clear that all the legislation and all that crap that was going to codify illegal immigration has just been exposed completely. It's just sad how much control the mainstream media still has over the minds of the left. And this is why, you guys, please, you got to thumbs this up. You got to forward this to people. We've got to wake people up to the truth about what's really going on. Here's an exclusive with Laura Loomer, who does a good job just basically holding the Republicans accountable, of exposing rhinos, etc. Here she says, here's another video exclusively obtained by Loomer Unleashed of Palestinian families doing the Hamas terror whistle with families while getting off a plane in Houston, Texas. So now, yeah, these kids did lose limbs, supposedly in the war. They're coming to Texas with a nonprofit organization. But the fact is that they're waving Palestinian flags, doing the Hamas whistleblowing. They were doing jihadi chants while waving Palestinian flags inside the George Bush International Airport in Houston, Texas. They flew from Gaza. I'd like to know how, since there's no airport in Gaza. And I'd like to know who the U.S. State Department under Marco Rubio signed off on the visas for Palestinians from Hamas hot zone. Is Rubio even aware of this? Why would anyone in the State Department give visas to individuals who live in Gaza, which is run by Hamas? And you can see this video here, those of you on the video. And you'll see the children are coming in. And of course, the video is talking about, hey, how great you're all here. But you can see all the Palestinian flags, right? All of the Palestinian flags, waving them. Basically, this is crazy in my opinion, and that's why I'm glad that Laura Loomer is showing this. 95% of Gazans have voted for Hamas. Who at the State Department gave visas to jihadists? Why is Greg Abbott allowing this to happen in Texas? Texas and California are being invaded by Palestinians. So interesting. Her point of view is always, on the aggressive side, but it's interesting to see that. Guys, you'll see on my X account, we go live with different programs on Faith and Freedom TV that also go on X. So look for those there. A lot of shorts, etc. on X as well as on YouTube and TikTok, as well as Instagram. I'm highly shadow banned. So you have to actually go type in blessed to teach, blessed with the number 2 teach. To find me anywhere in social media, you had to go blessed with the number 2 teach. So I am back. I have some YouTube channels. They've taken 4 of my channels out, but there's a couple there that I'm doing for purposes of the shorts and reels. Same with Facebook. They've taken out my 47,000 followers. I got another one that's got like 20,000. But again, most of those, it's hard to find. It's very, very shadow banned. The activity level's way down on those because many people that were following before haven't found me, number one. Number two is that the shadow banning is very obvious. So make sure that you type in blessed with the number 2 teach when you're trying to find me on any social media. I'm all over the place because I've got a Telegram, I've got YouTube, and so you can find everything at morewithrick.com. Morewithrick.com if you want to see my other social media areas. You'll see them all there. Here is another interesting. This is what I'm now doing is showing you some Telegram stuff that is a new approach I'm trying here, and I think it is going to allow me to do this. But I want to show you this Q drop. This is a Q drop. See, it doesn't allow me to control it real well. I'm going to have to blow it up this way. There we go. That looks pretty good. So you can see this is Q drop that was done in 2019 in December. And it says, it must be done right. And this is what's so important. And I think this is why this drop is being emphasized right now, because this is what Trump is doing. It must be done right. It must be done according to the rule of law. It must carry weight. It must be proven in the court of law. There can be no mistakes. Good things sometimes take time. I would say 7 years before we got to D-class. I tell you what, attempts to slow block the inevitable justice will fail. D's election interference in 2016, the Clinton-Hussein illegal FISA, that's all coming out right now, right? D's election interference in 2018, the Mueller investigation, D's election interference in 2020, impeachment, projection. These people are sick. We, the people, are the cure. All right, I'm just going to see. I know my wife accidentally sent a dinner. All right, it's going to be at 6:30, so I have time to finish up a little bit more. I can go a little bit into the what is it called? Digital soldier decode. Those are long, so we won't get all of it. But here's a picture of Obama on a Telegram, and if you look at these symbols that are on here, here's it is blowing up. You can clearly see the little boy symbol there. The FBI database is talking about how that is a pedophile signal for little boy lover. Right there, right in front of, he said the $65,000 on hot dogs, supposedly, to the White House that one time. There's a lot of stuff that believe we're going to come out about Mr. Obama. Here's a meme that says, Charlie Brown saying, "What do you miss?" And Snoopy saying, "I miss the way I viewed the world before I knew too much about it." Isn't that true for most of us? If you've been awake long, it's been a crazy, crazy time. Here's Kash Patel gives an update on Spygate, and this is probably worth listening to, just because I love the fact that you have the FBI director giving details.
And Trey and Johnny Ratcliffe, when we were back there in the House.
See if I can play this without.
Back there in the House Intel Committee, excavating and exposing the FISA abuses, the corruption of political parties, and the lies to a federal court just to illegally surveil a presidential candidate. I come in then years later, nearly a decade as a director of the FBI, thinking we uncovered most of it. But sadly, we found a room locked away in the Hoover building that contained burn bags. And just for your audience, Sean, a burn bag is a government bag that is specifically created to destroy classified evidence and shred and burn it, hence the name burn bag. We didn't find one, we found 7. That wasn't the only thing we found in there. We found hard drives from our predecessors and prior FBI leadership, and folks like Page, Strzok, Comey, McCabe, Comey, the list goes on from Russiagate. The names were strewn all over these materials. Now, as our great Attorney General just told you, we can't deny or confirm what we're looking at, but what we can discuss is what we've publicly disclosed. And these documents have been publicly disclosed because the greatest way to educate and bring along the American public for transparency, initiative, and accountability under President Trump is to give them the documents. And step one is...
That's right. And that is I just love what Kash and the DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, and even working with the CIA, as well as with the entire apparatus of declassification with the Congress. It's all happening, guys. That is an exciting part. And we are seeing history and accountability coming in a big way. Arrests are going to be coming. Here's John Solomon talking about this in more detail.
Of what the conspiracy is. It's a conspiracy to protect of Democrats from potential criminal prosecution, and then to violate the civil liberties and privacy and reputations of innocent Republicans to create an alternate story to protect political interest, meaning what's going to happen in the election. That's what it is. It's not more complicated. And I know people say, oh, a conspiracy case is going to be complicated. No, it's really not. We protected Democrats. And the cycle is Hillary has two problems. Email, now corruption. We can prove that was active at the time. Hunter Biden's got corruption and taxes. And by the way, the first evidence of that comes in March through May of 2016. And then 2019, it's Hunter Biden a lot more. And so we impeached the president, and we have the government actually creating stories that I think we will prove were false. And then in 21, they find Joe Biden's classified documents at UPenn office in Washington and his garage, and they got to make Donald Trump look like he's the classified guy first before they can let the cat out of the bag that Joe Biden has the same problem. It's a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle. And in the course of that, two potential crimes are occurring. Obstruction of legitimate investigations. Those are overt acts of a conspiracy. And then the violation of innocent people's civil liberties to create a political ruse. That is where I believe the grand conspiracy case is headed. I believe that there are multiple grand juries that have begun work around this country in multiple jurisdictions outside of Washington where evidence is now being gathered.
You do? You
I do.
Can report that, or you have reason to believe that?
Nope, I have confirmed witnesses and who've had contact with the grand jury. So there are grand jurors in multiple locations. Some of those are in Virginia. I believe one is going to begin based on early discussions in Pennsylvania. There may be one in New York. And so the activity has begun. And the question now is, and those are probably not going to be the indicting locations. I think the more likely thing is you use multiple grand juries just to make it easy to gather lots of information quickly. That's the way strike forces work. And then you keep working from there. But there are multiple locations where pieces of this are being looked at. And maybe the grand jurors don't even know it's a grand conspiracy, just looking at some of the overt acts in one of these chapters of this sad story. But that is going on. And I think it's going to be a process, right? It's going to be a 6-month process. I don't know the reason yet. I wish I knew. I don't know the reason. I mean, there's lots of, it could be related to the 2020 election.
Yeah, that's where my mind went.
Yeah. So we don't know yet. I just know that certain witnesses have been contacted about acceptance of grand jury subpoenas, and they're in different locations. So the process.
Grand jury's coming. Guys, we're not going to get bored anytime soon. All right. It's 5:46, so I'm going to go ahead and just go through some of this. We're not going to get through very much, but this is all about, remember, R in the Q drops often talked about renegade, which is talking about Obama, because that was his code name, right? So let's read a little bit of this, and you can, the rest of it will be in the show notes, so you can just go find on X Digital Soldier. Renegade targeted. The end game is near. The king is finished. Trump has erased the R from history, the signal that Obama's endgame is here. The missing letter that shook the board. Trump doesn't accidentally misspell words ever. When Trump drops a letter, he's not making a typo, he's sending a code across the digital battlefield. A signal to the operators, a warning to the invisible enemy, a wake-up call to the Anons. And now, if you're reading this, you about to see why a single letter, missing letter, could rewrite American history. Here's Trump, those of you on audio, looking at Obama saying, why am I done? When I'm done, it'll be like you were never here. And we're talking about this. This is erasing Obama after we in 2027, when Kim Clement saw the new America, it's going to be as if all this evil did not happen. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So that's why I believe the Nassar Gassar, something similar to that new financial system is going to be happening. That's why I keep telling you guys, make sure you get with Kirk Elliott and do that, because this could be something that is, again, the 30, 60, 100-fold going from the righteous, right? The great wealth transfer. I believe that metals is going to be a part of that. That's why I say call Kirk Elliott, 720-605-3900. It's going to be exciting. That's the only way, if you're going to say, hey, it's as if he was never here, right, is you have to financially repair us that got nailed in 2008, getting nailed with all the censorship. I can't tell you financially how they just almost destroyed this ministry with taking out 110,000 YouTube subscribers and 47,000 Facebook subscribers, took out the Patreon, took out my PayPal, all 3 ministry, personal, business PayPals. I got lost bank accounts, had to change banks. And they just recently took my TikTok out, right? So this is now I did restore that on a pill, but it's like it's very hard for people who are fighting this battle to financially make it. And so I'm praying for this just as much as you guys are, as far as the great wealth transfer to those of just keeping the Lord first in their life, right? And so I'm focused on that. And that he keeps telling me, just focus on him, right? So this talks about on Monday, August 11th, 2025, President Trump sent a signal, best market in history. No R gone. So you can see there's no R in here. Histoy, with no R, right? No R gone. For the uninitiated, it's nothing. For the tracking the board, it's everything. Annon's no R equals renegade. Renegade was Barack Hussein Obama's Soetoro's code name, right? Selected U.S. Secret Service code name. A code name Q has been hammering on for years. A code name that means traitor. When R vanishes from history, it means exactly what it looks like. Obama is erased. The renegade is erased. The king is erased. History is about to be written without Obama on it. And here's a meme. It's actually a post from Trump saying, King Krugman of New York Times has been predicting doom and gloom ever since my great election success in 2016. In other words, he has been wrong for years, and all markets have been hitting new highs and are now higher than ever before. And this is where the missing R is. People stayed out of the best market in history instead of history because of the Trump deranged bum. Sue them, right? So there you go. He's missing the R. The timing of this is not lost on me. This was surgical. We're inside the R delta window. The same window Q mapped with a CIA infiltrated warning. CIA is here. Pray. Direct codename confirmation. R equals integrate. Strategic questions are about who protects. We're going to see this in a second, but this is to be blunt. There's Trump. Game over Q, right? It says strategic questions about who protects the king. This wasn't just another post on social media by Trump. This was a move, a chess move, and on a chessboard of the most advanced military sting operation in history. Moves like this mean the end game is live. What if the missing R wasn't just a signal, but the trigger for the final stage of the plan? What if Q knew this exact moment would come and left the blueprint years in advance? What if the entire sequence from FISA to Clinton to Obama has been orchestrated, chain leading to this one decisive thing? What happens when the king, protector are stripped away by one until there's no shield left? What happens when the evidence trail leads every witness, every subpoena, every name back to the same command structure? What happens when American people see in real time that all roads lead to Obama? For those in Rio Linda, again, that is what. So it's like this is the simple way to explain it, right? This is what Rush Limbaugh used to say, talking about a small town in California. Trump is telling you the market is live. The final act is underway. The king is out of the moves, and we're about to connect every dot from Q's earliest R drops, renegade drops, to the chessboard sequence to today's comms in a way that will make it impossible to unsee. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you know it, you can't unknow it. And when the curtain drops, there's no coming back for the king. But before we dive in, my friends, grab a cup of kofifi, get comfy, and let's connect some dots. The game is over, and the public knows Q. And this is very long. It goes for quite a few. Probably would take me 45 minutes to read it all, but it's exciting to see him connecting drops to the different things. I'll do this for about 5 more minutes, get to do a couple more of these. The R trilogy, the plan unfolds. This isn't the first time the R marker has lit up the board. What you're seeing today is part 3 of the greatest sting operation, years in the making. And if you've been following along with me riding shotgun since the first drops, you already know this story arc of how I've been tracked and mapped this all out for you, play by play in the threads and on Substack. Part 1. R is targeted. R equals renegade. Substack, read now or bookmark for later. And you can see this is the whole Substack right there. The first time we mapped a code name Renegade to Barack Hussein Obama, Q made it clear R wasn't random. It was an identifier for the king on the board, the traitor, the architect of the entire surveillance grid. It was the moment we realized that taking down R would mean dismantling the command structure of the deep state itself. Part 2, checkmate king, the final move, Substack, read now or bookmark for later. Again, so this is him showing how he's mapped this all out for us, right, with each of these different Substacks. We laid out Q's chessboard sequence, pawns first, then bishops, then rooks, the queen mid to end, and the king last. Subpoenas start to drop, shields begin to fall, Clinton protection shattered, and now the board is shifting until Obama, the king, is the only one left standing and exposed. The plan was always to let the public see the sequence unfold in real time, so when the king falls, it's undeniable. Part 3, renegade targeted. The end game is near. The king is finished. That's where we are now. Trump just pulled the pin on the R marker and full public view. The code name is live. The signal was sent. The Delta window is active, and the board is cleared for checkmate. This is why the missing R in Trump's post is not coincidence. It's not Trump doing a little trolling. It's the public-facing confirmation that final stage is here. What if you been watching the removal of the king's defense piece by piece without realizing it? What if the subpoenas, the D-class drops, the optics of all of it was to condition the public for the one move that changes everything? What if history's biggest conspiracy theory was actually the blueprint, the biggest sting operation ever run in history? Because now we are moving from the big picture to the hard receipts, the Q drops that prove that our marker was always been the signal for the king's takedown. The operational comms that were planted years before today to confirm beyond any shadow of a doubt that what we're watching is the plan in motion. Buckle up, friends. We're now inside the R countdown. The next moves aren't random, they're scripted. What you're about to see was mapped years before today, because now the drops speak for themselves. What had to happen first? Think logically. Think DOJ and FBI. Think cleaning. Number 64, puzzle coming together. We have reached our cruising altitude of 40,000 feet long ago. As we prepare to land, please fasten your seatbelts and make sure your seatbelt and folding trays are in their full upright position. Q. Yeah, basically saying, hey, that just took 7 years to get here at this point. Having to take control of the government, have them show the people, because sometimes you can't tell the people, you have to show them what a Biden presidency would be. And this is a meme showing puzzle coming together. Well, this will be the last one I do here, guys. And then, again, you'll be able to find this in the show notes, a link to everything. And you'll be able to find this at Digital Soldier on X. And it's SWOLLJER. Digital Soldier. The first trigger, R marker, goes live. CIA is here. Pray. Trump's missing R post syncs directly with one of the most loaded early Q drops, Q128. It wasn't just a post, it was a signal. The map is active, and you can see here's that whole post right here. And when Q says future proofs past, this is exactly what Q meant. Today's move was planned, documented, and stamped years ago. Q28, November 9th, 2017. Trip added coordinated effort to misdirect attached graphic is correct. Link graphics are incorrect and false. Graphic is necessary and vital. Timestamps and order is critical. Review graphic in full each day post news release. Learn to distinguish between relevant and non-relevant news. Disinformation is real. Disinformation is necessary. That's a real key part of this whole thing. Remember, this was a psyop against the deep state. It was Trump's back channel to the Anons and to wake us up, right? And it was also a psyop, a psychological operation against the deep state. Let's see. Example, U.S. military NG, I'm talking about National Guard, false SA true. Why was this necessary? What questions were asked regarding SA prior to SA events? Why is this relevant? Think mirror. Look there, or here, or there. Truth is behind you. What is a map? Why is the map useful? What is a legend? Why is a legend useful? What is a sequence? Why is this relevant? When does the map become a guide? What is the keystone? Everything stated is relevant. Everything. Future proves past. This is a big part about news. It's waking us up, right? That's showing us that this was all mapped out. Picture provides 40,000 foot view versus is classified. Why is the map useful? Think direction. Think full picture. Who controls the narrative? Why is it relevant? This is all the narrative against the propaganda of the mainstream media, right? Think direction. Think full picture. Who controls the narrative? Why is it just relevant? What is a spell? Who's asleep? Dissemination. Attention on deck. There is an active war on your mind. Be prepared. Operations underway. Operations active. Graphics is essential. Find the keystone. Move the counter moves. They never thought she would lose. Snow White, Godfather 3, Iron Eagle, Q. And here's his translation. We've got to finish this because this is important. Q says the attached official map timeline is correct. Ignore knockoff versions. Deliberate disinformation will be used. Learn the separate signal from the noise. SA with Saudi Arabia events are keystone because they took out a ton of corruption, like Alaweed, who owned Twitter, and now with having Elon owning Twitter is night and day, right? As an example, Saudi Arabia events are keystone. Ask the right questions before and after. Future proofs past. Later events like today will validate earlier drops. The battlefield is your mind. Narrative control is the war zone. Ops are live. Operators are active. The keystone event will unlock the full map. Cultural code words. Snow White, Godfather 3, Iron Eagle equals reference clusters to research. So this really caused people to, what do they mean by Snow White? What do they mean by what happened in a Godfather 3 movie? What's Iron Eagle mean? And people started really digging into all these things, and Q clarified them over time. Hidden bracket comms, acrostic, all bracketed letters in order. Read, CIA is here. PRAY, CIA is here. Pray. Coordinated graphic is here. Prepared operations active. Keystone. What if the missing R in Trump's post was time to reactivate this exact drop? What if be prepared and operations underway were designated to light up when the proverbial walls start to close on the renegade? What happens when the keystone falls and unlocks the full map? What happens when the narrative controllers lose the spell they have cast on the public? All right, this continues for quite some time, but this is a those in real Linda. So let me finish this because this simplifies a lot of what that was just said. Q is saying we gave you real map years ago. Ignore the fakes. We told you ops were active and the keystone would trigger the sequence. Today's missing R is the public-facing proof that the operation is live. Here's a meme that says, Barry, you and Michelle will still be together. Guantanamo is an all-male prison. Oh, today's missing R is the public-facing proof that the operation is live, the operators are active, and the final moves are in play. If you've been watching this op for years, you know Q's timestamps aren't nostalgia, they're triggers. The R just tripped one. The drop wasn't about the past, it was about preparing for this very moment in time. Trump's signal isn't an isolated shot, it's part of the map sequence, and Q128 is the first receipt proving it. Now, if Q128, which we just read, is the activation order, the next drop tells us exactly who R is and why the removal of the piece changes the entire game. Insurgency, this is a quote, and then you can see this is a Q drop. Insurgency is the organized use of subversion and violence to seize, nullify, or challenge a political control of a region. The presidency of Barack Hussein Obama began at noon on January 20th, 2009, when Barack Obama was inaugurated as the 44th president in the United States? What country was the true intended target? And what we know now is that he was here to destroy America. And that's what this gets into way more detail. The reveal, identifying the king, renegade. That's all about Obama. So anyway, guys, God bless you. We're going to continue, and I might end up reading some of these decodes and put them as exclusive content on Faith and Freedom TV. So I'll be doing quite a bit of a full hour with Larry on all kinds of I guess white hat coded information, intel with Larry Ballard I'll be probably posting that every Wednesday on the Faith and Freedom TV. That's the only place you'll be able to find it. Again, so make sure you go to Faith and Freedom TV and bookmark that faithandfreedom.tv, faith with the N, freedom.tv. You also want to download the TV app. So if you have a Roku or a Fire TV or Apple TV or an Android TV, make sure you have it on your TV app, and then also make sure you have it on your phone. Just download it on iOS Apple Store or the Google Play Store. You can Faith with the N, Freedom TV. We're going to be doing tons of exclusive, and then a lot of the content providers will be doing their own exclusive content as well. God bless you all, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Christian soldiers, we are in this together. We are blessed to teach. We are neighbors, we believe. We are blessed to be free, to love our God and country.
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.